Just 10 more seconds. There we go. Give me full extension. Hip extension, hip extension. Good. So far 3. That change, we show the importance of stimulus. Again, the only thing different that I did was by compressing that joint, when I hit your heel, there was no more laxity stressing that ligament. If you still have weaknesses, muscle deficits, improper firing patterns, you're still not gonna do everything perfectly. Woo! 3, 2, 1.
So a little bit about my story and why we're here working out. So I've torn both of my patellar tendons at different times in my life. This one was about 2.5 years ago. It always happens from jumping. And ever since I've had those injuries, it's been really hard to really fire certain parts of my quad, especially the lateral side of my quad. And it makes it very uncomfortable to run because I don't have a lot of sensation on the lateral side of my knee.
This picture means a lot to me. It was the first time I ever got injured. I was 21 years old, I was playing flag football, and I tore my Achilles. And as you can see on the photo, it says fall down 7 times and get up 8. And that is the goal of this journey, to take you on my journey to making sure that you understand just because you're injured does not mean you're broken. And you can come back to being even better than you were before, as long as you're persistent and you have the right type of rehab and training. And luckily, I've had the honor to interact with Chris Knott. He trains a lot of professional athletes. He's amazing at what he does. And I know he's the right guy to help me accomplish this mission. So come along on this journey back to running.
Hey, how's it going? It's Dr. Blade, and I'm here out at Elevation Fitness. And today what we're going to do is we're going to record some fun exercises as well as rehab. I've been dealing with a lot of issues when it comes to my knees, and I know the best in the game, so I decided to meet up with him. So how's it going, Chris?
It's going well. We got a good Friday morning. We're gonna finish the week strong, but we thought this would be a great opportunity to showcase a little bit more about what the neurotherapy adds into the training, rehab, and fitness world. So we've got Doc here, and obviously he's a specimen, been pounding it pretty hard, but guys like us, been around for a while, it's pretty easy to start beating ourselves up, and it's not always feasible to get in there and get all the stem cell shots and everything for everyone. At the same time, when we get to have a doc like this that can do that for regenerative medicine, we also want to complement that, making sure that the muscle patterning, the firing, the compensations, as well as strength deficits get taken care of. And that way we get the best of both worlds. So when this guy comes in and heal things from the inside, I'm the guy that's going to come in and make sure that once the car is put back together, we can drive it correctly. So we're going to go ahead and do that today. We're going to give you a quick interlude and then just kind of a discussion on how we go through finding out what the neurological hotspots are, the disconnects that really show us where the body is firing muscles incorrectly so that you actually know what's happening, you don't have to guess. And then we'll actually get into some training today to specifically target some really cool exercises that I like to do for that patellar tendon and that knee strength. So we'll hit it from there.
And the interesting thing about this is he's actually torn his patellar tendon too. So tell me a little bit about your story.
Yeah, so mine was one of those kind of learning experiences, but the cool thing is if we learn from them, we can help out people from that experience, which is how I was able to get Chase Young back in the NFL after he tore his patellar tendon, ACL, and blew up his knee. So what happened to me, honestly, I was 42 years old at the time. I was training Odell Beckham. We were up at a camp in Big Bear, California. We had done all of our leg work for that day, and we were getting ready to do all the plyometric work with him and the USC track guys. And so I like to do all the workouts with my NFL guys, so of course I jump in. But the problem was that 16 full weeks prior to this, I had done a different kind of fitness challenge where I wanted to show people how much mass you could put on in a short amount of time. So I took 16 weeks and I went from 198 pounds up to 235. And so I was big, I was strong, but that whole program was focused solely on hypertrophy work. Now, when you're working on hypertrophy and you're working on muscles, you can get big, you can get strong, but here's what most people don't understand is that tendon and connective tissue actually develops differently than how we develop our muscles. So during that 16-week process, I didn't do anything to develop my tendons or connective tissue. And so when I was doing the plyometric work with Odell and the USC track guys, I had all the strength. I could propel myself. Matter of fact, the last exercise of the day, and it's always that proverbial last exercise, last set, last rep. we were doing 32-inch altitude drops into 3 consecutive 42-inch hurdle jumps. And it was literally our last set, and it was between my second and third hurdle when my patellar tendon snapped on that rebound and I came crashing through. So my body had gone up by over 35 pounds, and that's a lot of additional weight to be hitting and having to absorb and propelling yourself through that. And so just because you're in the gym weight training does not mean that your connective tissue is developing at the same rate in the same capacity, which is what I proved to myself during those 16 weeks of training. So when my tendon wasn't ready, there's another side to it as well, which is when I was actually doing the jump exercises, I can't see myself. We actually have video of when it happened because we were videoing the whole workout. It was frustrating to me because when I went back to see that video, I could see that as I was fatiguing, I'm a left leg jumper, so my left foot was coming back slightly. When my left foot comes back, what does it do? It drives the left knee forward, putting even more pressure on that patellar tendon. Guess which one snapped? It was my left patellar tendon. So biomechanics also matter, and when fatigue happens, your body goes to compensate towards whatever it thinks it's strongest, even if it's not correct. And that's the thing, your brain does not know right from wrong, it just knows what it thinks it should do, and a lot of times that's not the best option. So if I had seen myself, if I was coaching myself in those plyometric jumps, I would have stopped about 5 reps prior when I started to see that compensation pattern. So for all of you people out there that are getting back into sports like basketball, pickleball, anything plyometric nature, you need to take the time to develop the connective tissue, not just the muscle. Don't think that because you can go to the gym and squat 400 pounds or bench press 300 pounds or whatever it is that you're doing, that your tissues and your joints are ready for the plyometric type of demand that high-level competition sports have in mind. So that was my learning experience, tore the patellar tendon. Out of all the surgeries the doctors have told me that I have to have all the way from my high school days when I first dislocated my shoulder as a sophomore in high school, I've avoided every surgery until I was 42 and that happened. Because once you tear a patellar tendon, you're done. It's a have-to surgery. Yeah. So I did my rehab, went through that process, but the cool part was that once I was done, I was able to look back, evaluate what did I do really well, what could I have changed, what could I have done even better, and it's because of those changes is why Chase Young is back and killing it for the Saints in the league today. But that's my personal story. So we have shared scars that we definitely can relate to. But the cool part is that our age, we can still do more. Like now, I'm literally jumping better than how I did in college. And it's because of being able to do this kind of stuff. It doesn't mean that your body's perfect. If we MRI'd our whole body right now, we would find more tears, we would find other things going on. For sure. So the problem, one of the main problems in Western medicine is the fact that we always look at structure first. So if you go and hurt your knee, the first thing they do is X-ray, MRI, because they're looking for what's torn, damaged, and broken, and their immediate solution is surgery. Guess what? If you have, let's say, a small meniscus tear, that might have been there for the last 5 years, and just now it might be irritated, but it's because something else is not doing its job. You're not absorbing force correctly, so now that force is going inside the joint where it doesn't belong, creating the irritation. However, you can function perfectly fine with small tears. I competed in jiu-jitsu for years without an ACL. So you can function with less than ideal anatomy. Anatomy, it's a part of it. It's not that they're mutually exclusive. It just shows you that it doesn't tell you the full story. Even if the anatomy was perfect, if we could go in there, if we could do that stem cell injection, if we can get the anatomy back to perfect, if you still have weaknesses, muscle deficits, improper firing patterns, you're still not going to do everything perfectly. It's like having all the parts to your car, but still not knowing where the keys are to turn your car on and not knowing how to drive it. So when you are trying to go for optimal physique, optimal health, optimal performance, you have to take care of the full picture. And that's why we work so well together, is because we are looking at the full book. We're not just reading one chapter and specializing in one thing. We need those surgeons, we need those nutritionists, we need those massage therapists, we need everybody, because they're all a part of the equation. But if you don't understand how to put all the pieces together, you can have your flour, you can have your sugar, you can have your wheat, you can have your whatever, but if you don't know how to put the ingredients together, you're not going to bake the cake. So that's what we're doing today.
Yeah, exactly. No, he makes a lot of great points, and that's quite the compelling story. And if you want to know a little bit about my first knee injury was similar situation, but I was playing basketball. So I was studying to go to medical school. I hadn't really been training like I used to as an athlete when I was in college. And I spent a lot of time just sitting and doing that type of stuff or working out in the gym. But I wasn't playing sports. And then one day we decided to sign up for an intramural basketball tournament. I was like, oh, I'm good at basketball. Let's do this. Literally first play of the game, I steal the ball, run down the court, I plant to jump as high as I possibly could to jump over a guy. My knee just goes out. And that was because I was not training my body like I used to. I was not used to the explosive movements. And then fast forward 5, 6 years later, same thing happened. I'm in the gym, working out, I rehabbed and everything. I go on a cruise ship, we're playing volleyball. And then I get on the court, I see the ball go up really softly. I'm like, I'm about to spike the hell out of this. It's always when I'm thinking I'm going to do superhuman.
It's always the big thing, yeah.
And then same thing happens, and my knee goes out, and I'm out in the ocean. It was a terrible place to do this. So I was like, and I knew exactly what happened, but no one else did.
Yeah.
Because what ends up happening when you tear your patellar tendon, typically, it starts to rise up and it goes laterally, and you don't feel it where it's supposed to. And sometimes you have to push it back down. It's exactly what I had to do. So it's quite the story, but it's taught us a lot about how your body can be resilient and come back. And as long as you plug in the regenerative process of therapy and maybe the manual process of surgery, and then you have the rewiring and reprogramming with some of these tools and the appropriate therapies, you can build your body back and even build it back stronger. So that's what we're going to show you how to do today.
Absolutely. So I'm going to give you a fire hydrant approach to kind of a normal therapy session that we would do. Everything I do is about getting your muscles activated. Your muscles are the shock absorber of the body. And if they're not absorbing that force has to go someplace. That's where it goes in the joint. That's where we get our wear and tear and our damage. However, when I first start with any lower body, so it doesn't matter if you come in with an ankle, a knee, a hip, a back, guess what? The whole structure looks together. So another problem of our system is that someone says, I hurt my knee, everyone wants to work around your knee, but maybe the knee's not a problem. Exactly. So the example I give is like if you go to squat and show off your amazing squat and someone that doesn't like you puts a sharp tack in the bottom of your shoe, you step on that tack, your brain goes, ow, that hurts. So it shuts off your muscles because it doesn't want to keep putting pressure in that tack. You collapse. And then everyone goes, I guess he wasn't that strong. Had nothing to do with strength. Had everything to do with a stimulus that your brain perceived that it didn't like. And then we had to find out what muscles got shut off. But everyone says, oh, he hurt his knee. So the doctor looks at your knee, but no one's smart enough to take the tack out of the shoe. Yeah. So in this system, I'm looking for all the proverbial tacks in the shoe to eliminate the stimulus that the brain is focused on that's then shutting down the whole circuitry. However, when it comes to the lower body, you have two unique joints, the SI joint in the pelvis and this distal tib-fib joint down in the ankle. And what's unique about them is that there's actually no muscle that supports those joints. They're just ligament. So if I need to turn muscles on, but I have no muscle to turn on, I gotta do something different to start. So these particular joints, because they're weight-bearing joints and they transmit force through the body for any load-bearing activity, I have to look at them because they're like circuit breakers. Again, if you blow out your hair dryer, you don't go and immediately buy a new hair dryer. You want to see if the circuit got shut off first, and we just got to restore the electricity. So that's what we're going to do here first. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a basic applied kinesiology baseline test. So I'm going to raise the leg up. I'm looking at, okay, we got about this much range of motion before we create any kind of muscular tension. And then we're going to hold the leg up. Don't let me press the leg down. Ready? 3, 2, 1, resist. Very good. Okay, so I'm just getting a basic baseline. Other leg. Okay, similar range of motion. 3, 2, 1, resist. Okay, that's my point of comparison because I know right now you can display that much strength. Now I'm gonna stress the SI joint by having you arch your back up. So keep your butt down on the table, butt down, just arch, good. That arch stresses the SI. Now the leg comes up. Okay, now look at the lack of range of motion here. Okay, hold the leg up. Don't let me press down. 3, 2, 1, resist. And we got nothing. Okay, and all right, this one's gonna be slightly better, but not much. 3, 2, 1, resist. Okay, and again, he's trying as hard as he can. There's no way he's gonna hold that leg up. Okay, so we're gonna point out two things here, both the extreme change of range of motion that I'll come back to, and obviously the weakness. So if I put you in a position that stresses something the brain doesn't like, that's like putting a tack in the shoe. And this is how we go weak. This is how we don't absorb force. Because when we do a movement, even something as simple as hold your leg up in the air, there's no such thing as isolating a muscle. All muscles work in concert. And so when we have a whole bunch of muscles working, so like the first test where you're good and strong, you didn't feel any one particular muscle because all the muscles are distributing the force equally. However, when I create a stress that your body doesn't like, your brain goes, I don't want to do that anymore. So your primary muscle, the hip flexor, which is what you're saying, hold the leg up, it's going to stay on because you're telling it to stay on. However, you can't control all the subconscious muscles, so they go running away, and all the force goes to the one muscle, which means it's never gonna be able to absorb the same amount of force, which why it feels like it's gonna give a little Charlie horse, it feels overloaded, and it's not gonna be strong. Okay, so I'm gonna come back to this. Next, I'm gonna check the ankle. So I'm gonna lift the leg up, I'm gonna hit your heel 5 times, which is stressing that joint, then we'll do that same leg test. Okay, so leg comes up, hold right here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, now hold. Okay, that ankle's good and fine. All right, let's see this one here. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hold. Okay, slight difference. Yeah, you could feel the difference. Okay, now, in my system, 90% is not good enough. I like to keep working to 100%.
Me too.
So even though that wasn't horrible, I'm gonna do something little bit, because what we just said, and the reason why there is the deficit is when I hit this heel, we're basically a little anatomy. We're hitting the calcaneus. It's pressing up on the talus bone, which is creating a wedge between the tibia and the fibula. Okay, so the 2 big shin bones come down here. You got this ligament running across, holding it together this way. But again, we got no muscle going across this way for me to turn on. All the muscles run down this way through the ankle. Flex your foot up for me. Good. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a simple piece of tape. I'm going to go above the ankle because I don't want to impede any of the muscles for the ankle. So I want it snug, but it's not so snug that cuts off circulation. That's why I had you flex your foot up. But check this out now. I'm gonna do the exact same test. Up here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, resist.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And I can press twice as hard, and you're just holding me up like it's nothing. Okay, so when I immediately get that change, we show the importance of stimulus. Again, the only thing different that I did was by compressing that joint, when I hit your heel, there was no more laxity stressing that ligament. So your brain goes, oh, that feels pretty good. I have no reason to guard and protect. I'll let my muscles turn on, and then immediately all the muscles are strong, and you don't feel that like, oh, I'm gonna like get a Charlie horse in my hip flexor.
Yep.
Okay, so bottom line is for you, honestly, I would wear this for like 2 weeks. And then anytime this gets loose or nappy, just change it out. If your skin gets easily irritated, just put pre-wrap underneath it. All we're doing is trying to compress that to take pressure off that ligament so that it can heal and rest, because you're always on your feet, so it's always under stress. It'd be like asking someone with a broken leg that's running on every day, why is your leg not healing? It's because we need to support it so that it can absorb force or keep the force out of the area so that it can actually heal. Okay. That's all we're doing right here. So that's how we take care of the ankle. Now we're gonna come back to the hip. So this will be your first kind of neuro program, and this is just a reset, if you will. I'm gonna have you take this pad, feel that muscle right there. I want you to put that blue pad right in your skin, right where your finger is. Okay, we got 2 minutes. All right, go ahead and start your curl.
With both legs?
Yep, one at a time. Breathe, okay. All right, so now go left leg. We gotta do both legs unless you wanna run in a circle. So just, yeah, alternate legs. Good, now let me see you pull that toe up with it. There, good. Okay, now as he's moving, we're gonna do some more coaching. I like to coach and teach at the same time. Notice he's now under a stimulus, and the whole point of stimulus is really to create a distraction. When you lift a heavy weight, you don't change how you squat. The goal is, can I still squat a heavier weight the same way correctly? But heavy weight, the brain starts to go, oh crap, this feels heavy. I don't want to get crushed. So the higher we go in weight, the more it starts to yield compensation. But that's where the real training begins, because my goal is to focus my mind so that I still move correctly. Now, we've already gone over how to move correctly, and Doc's already learning. He's relaxing his mind. Yeah. He's breathing again, because just like everyone, when we experience a stimulus that creates a fear response, so now we're gonna get into the what we call our fight or flight, our sympathetic state, that's when muscles wanna tense up. But everyone wants to hold their breath, and we have to teach the mental and the emotional capacity, and we actually have a whole psychological part to our training, which is how do we focus? We start with our breathing cues, and notice how much more efficiently his movements have become. Again, I didn't change anything in the settings. He became more efficient when he started to focus his mind, and therefore his body relaxed, and now his muscles are working more synergistically. Now with traditional stem, if we tighten up, and if I turn up the power, he just tightens up more. But here, I'm actually now turning up the power more, and he can handle more. Why? Because he's becoming coordinated. 3, 2, 1, and relax. So I'm gonna put this back on your back. This is just gonna be a ground. Go ahead and lay down over that. All right, now we're gonna see how efficiently Doc's muscles are working. So what I'm looking for is, as I'm gonna start at the knee, and everyone thinks that, oh, the knee was the problem. I guarantee you that there's not gonna be much going on around the knee, because that was not the original problem, it's just where the problem ended up. But I'm gonna go from the knee down to the foot and ankle, all the way up to your hip and your back. And what I'm looking for is, how does the body respond to the stimulus? So for example, if I go, let's say right here, you're gonna feel this.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's no big deal. If I go here, you're gonna feel that more.
Yeah.
If I go here, you feel it more, okay?
Yeah.
So any spot that I touch that you would say is above a 5 on a 1 to 10 scale,
Yeah.
and 10 is like, don't do that, I'm gonna punch you if you do that again, to 0 is like, I feel nothing. Anything that's above a 5 is an area that needs attention, that you know is, just because it's not injured, we don't wait for injuries, we wanna prevent injuries. So we know that it's not optimal. Okay, however, in any given session, I need to treat your 10, whatever's the worst spot, because that's what your brain is focused on the most. This is what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna get a quick overview. So here we go. So inside of the ankle, behind the knee.
Yep.
Okay. All right, adductor.
That's whole leg.
Okay, there's that lateralis you've been wanting to work on.
Yep.
Hamstring's not so bad. Let's go into the psoas. Okay, psoas is pretty good. And glute med. Okay. So again, we got a couple spots that we can work on.
Yep.
All right, but now that I got my overview, this is where I go back and I just go A, B, C, and you tell me what's worse. So if I went to the ankle and I said, tell me what's worse between A or B.
A.
A is worse. Okay, now tell me if anything's worse than A. We had that one there.
That.
Still the ankle?
No, that's worse.
That was worse? Okay, so we have our adductor, hip flexor, not as bad. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
worse.
pretty close.
Yeah. That's.
And then, yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Okay, so out of the adductor, the lateralis, or the psoas, which one was most intense?
The psoas.
Psoas. Okay, which again, very common in these, because when the knee hurts, we tend to get a lot of drive from the hip flexors, psoas. Okay, so I'm gonna roll to your side for me. I'm just gonna take this out. Okay, back on your back. Okay, so for this session today, that is the proverbial tack in the shoe. All right, so I'm gonna keep this here, and now we're gonna see what else gets shut off because of this. So how do I know? Whatever turns this back on the most. So if I go 1, 2, so far 3,
Yeah.
maybe 4, or 5.
Ooh, 5.
Okay, all right. So pretty common pattern. So when the hip flexors take over, the psoas, it's an interesting muscle. It's not like a bicep that has a tricep or a quad that has a hamstring. The psoas doesn't have a true antagonist. From a neurological perspective, the glute activation is really the primary antagonist of the psoas, as well as our diaphragm, which is why it's important to breathe deep, because most people are always breathing up in their chest. Okay, but the glute med is important, because when the glute med shuts off, the glute med is kind of like the first domino that shuts off the glute. A lot of times we get the glute med and the glute shut off, which then puts us in our hip and our quad, but then our quad takes over. So notice we're gonna work on the knee, not by working on the knee, by working on the things that need to come online so that the quad doesn't have to overwork, which then pulls on the knee. That's how this system works. Okay, so that's our quick diagnostic. We're gonna get you wrapped up, and then we'll go into the actual exercise. All right, today I am gonna do one specific program for the patellar tendon, because we know we got some gunk going on in there. We'll see how much more the knees feel lubricated. Okay, so we'll pause and we'll get you wrapped for this last program. Okay, so this program, this one literally is a repolarization. We're gonna try to repolarize some of the lack of permeability in the scar tissue that comes from patellar tendon surgery. This one kind of sucks. That's why we're doing 3 minutes.
a great way to start.
I just say that.
This one kind of sucks.
So let's just get at it. Your job is to try to stand up and sit down. Here we go. Good. Give me full extension, lock out. Yep.
Oh, man.
Yep. So this one gets sharp. Good. Go ahead and add that extra stomp. So sit, now lift and stomp. Good.
My left leg. At least the same on both legs.
Yeah.
This one does not like this.
What?
If it's more tense on one side, what does that mean?
So as a general rule, you're going to feel the machine more where you're compensating more.
Okay,
So think of it like if you had water pressure inside of a hose and you ask the hose, where do you feel the water the most? It's gonna say wherever the biggest kink is.
Okay.
So what this tells me, more than likely, you're leaning onto your left leg, you're overusing your left leg more.
Yep, and this is the one that had surgery most recently, so.
Okay,
I had to,
yep.
and this was originally my strong leg, and that's what I got hit first.
Yep,
And then I got this one, and then this one had to
yeah,
compensate as the weaker thing.
yeah. So that's what it's just telling me, is that we're just overusing the left side.
All right.
Now, what I can do though, is I can bring you a little bit back. Tell me when they feel more equal.
Now this one hurts a little more.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, that's too much, I can't. All right, I can't, let's go.
All right, give me 10 more seconds. Just 10 more seconds. There we go. Give me full extension, hip extension, good. Woo! 3, 2, 1, and relax. There we go.
Holy shit.
All right, that's why we keep that program short.
Yeah, you wouldn't finish the program. You started there. Like,
Okay, but now's the real test. We literally did 7 minutes of treatment. We did about half of a session, but you can basically, like our discussion, tell everyone what you would normally do to get ready for a run and still feel it from the first step. And I'm gonna have you run now just with 7 minutes of work.
Okay, so you want me to go to the treadmill?
Yeah.
All right. All right, so normally for me to prepare for a run, I do floss band for like 5 minutes. I have a percussion massager that I use. And then I stretch a lot. I do a lot of ATG split squats. And I feel it every single step, so I don't really run much. So I'm sorry for all my friends. I'm not at run clubs because it doesn't feel right. So we're gonna see what this feels like.
All right, let's see where we're at. Go ahead, first go in extension. Focus on your glutes. Yes. Good.
It definitely feels a lot lighter. I can focus on my steps instead of my knee every step. Just slow down a little bit. Woo. Just do it without holding.
Yep.
That's the real test.
So the biggest thing is notice how when you first started running, you were all up into your hips. That was the pattern. We just opened up your glutes. So I want you to think, extend. Yep. So get it going from the glutes and then curl the leg up. There. So you're pulling. There we go.
Yeah, that's different. A lot of times I just think, bring my legs up instead of legs back.
So again, the more we can get you into all your muscles, again, if you had an 8-cylinder engine, why would you only use 4 spark plugs? So we want to make sure that you're using those glutes. And remember, we pull the leg up, we drive, pull, not collapse from the hip. Too many guys have been coached, get your knees up and running. It's actually a bad cue. Now, Olympic level sprinters, they work on front side mechanics most of the time. However,
in the air longer.
Well, yeah, but the problem is that that's great if you've developed everything and now you're fine tuning. But a lot of these guys, like even my professional athletes, I got to take them back and work on their backside mechanics because they become deficient. And then once we build the backside mechanics, now we can go back to the front side mechanic cues. But if I only have a front side, now I'm actually collapsing, I'm pulling from the hip and I'm tightening everything up. And that's where we get our groin issues and some other issues that go along. But if we actually, but they're losing their power at that point. Now, the only negative of backside mechanics is if I stay in the ground for too long and it slows down my turnover because my ground contact time starts to get too long. However, I want power with a good cycle, and then I get the best of both worlds.
Makes sense. All right, we'll do a little. Let's try this again.
Yeah, drive, there you go. Just push back there. Good, that looks a lot smoother.
Whew. Today I can run on this for more than a minute. Is there a way to slow this thing down?
So on these treadmills, if you actually come back on the treadmill a little bit, so once you go in, if you go forward, it's going to drive harder because you're going more down. So just stick with like a 80% jog.
Okay. Just want to make sure I don't fall off.
But get it going first. Yeah, just get it going. Good. Now stay right there. There it is. Good. That's a good stride.
Okay, I can do this.
Good. That looks pretty good. How does that feel?
Feels much better.
Good. All right.
Let's hope. I'm building a run club.
All right. There we go. Cool. Very good. Absolutely. Well, that's how we do things. That's how we make you efficiently. The only thing we didn't get to today is always time. Next time we'll actually get into a full lift, but we'll show you how we can actually use the neuro stuff along to enhance our lifting to open up, because we still do need some more quad strength, but we need to balance that with how I teach my glute and hamstring work. So that is the complete package. First, we work on the motor patterning. We repolarize the tissue. That's more on the therapeutic side. And then we go into adding more horsepower, but we actually get more out of it when we use the neuro unit along with it, with a better exercise selection, as well as the execution of the exercises. A lot of people are doing okay exercises, but they don't know how they're doing it or if they're doing it incorrectly. A lot of people aren't even getting the right exercises in.
Yep. All right. Stay tuned for part 2.
All right. Very cool.